Hi there and welcome to Pomfort. My name is Vanja Neute and I'm Product Manager for Pomfort software applications. In this video, I will show you how to set up Reeltime Pro with all your hardware components and for local streaming. With our demo setup here, we will first check out how to configure video input and output devices via the slot manager and how to set up the application's main audio input and output through an audio interface. We'll also cover how to get started with a dedicated Stream Deck plugin that allows you to control the application via a Stream Deck device. Last but not least, we'll also configure streaming via a local network. I'll show you how to receive the local streams on your iPad or iPhone via the free Reeltime Viewer Companion app. Are you ready? Let's get started! We begin with the just downloaded Reeltime Pro version. When you first open the application, there is a welcome screen introducing the essential features of the software. When you close the welcome screen's last page, the slot manager opens automatically. In the slot manager, you can associate input sources, such as input ports of video I/O devices, with an input slot, or output destinations, such as an output port of a video I/O device or a local stream, with an output slot. Adding at least one input source is essential to explore Reeltime Pro's recording and playback features or other basic functionality. Here's one tip. If you don't have a camera and a video I/O device at hand, you can still use your webcam as an input device. You can even use your iPhone's camera if you are logged in with the same Apple ID on your computer and on your phone. Additionally, you can use your iPhone or iPad to receive local streams. So if you're looking for the most straightforward setup for evaluating and testing the software, all you need is a Mac computer with a webcam and an iPhone or iPad. Our quick start guide, linked in the description below, walks you step by step through getting your webcam mini setup up and running. As we do have cameras and a video I/O device here today, we can simulate a real-world on-set scenario and take a closer look at how to set up Reeltime Pro with two Arri cameras, one AJA IO-X3 video device, a Blackmagic Video Hub 10x10 12G video router, two Flanders DM240 monitors, a Focusrite Scarlett 4i4 audio interface, an iPad Pro, and a Stream Deck XL. All devices are attached to a MacBook Pro 16-inch with an M2 processor. Reeltime Pro is optimized for Apple Silicon processors and fully leverages their built-in ProRes hardware acceleration. Hence, you can record in any ProRes family codec, from high-quality ProRes HQ to space-saving ProRes Proxy. If you run out of space during your project, you can add additional media folders. However, only one of your media folders can be set as the current record folder. Now let's configure our inputs and outputs in the slot manager. An incoming camera signal is associated with an input slot, so that an input slot represents a camera. In our demo setup, the Alexa 35 is our A cam and the Alexa Mini is our B cam. By default, there are already two input slots A and B. In the slot label field, I can enter an additional camera name or other relevant info, such as the camera operator's name. In this example, I enter Alexa 35 in slot A and Alexa Mini in slot B. Before continuing, we should look at our video routing. We open the video router control and connect to the Blackmagic Video Hub router in our network. In this window, we can see that our ACAM is routed to the first device port of the AJA IOX3 and the BCAM is routed to the second port. Now that we know the routing of our input ports, it's pretty easy to associate them correctly with our input slots. We select slot A and choose the first input port under Device. The video format is set automatically based on the incoming signal. AJA and Deltacast devices support detecting the record flag embedded in the horizontal ANC metadata of the camera's live SDI signal. If you want to use the auto-record functionality of Reeltime Pro, selecting Record Flag Hang is the best option. If you use Blackmagic Video I/O devices, you could still use the rec run trigger method if your production requirements allow it. To trigger auto-recording based on the rec run timecode, you must enable the rec run timecode option in your camera. Okay, we have successfully configured our first input signal. We repeat the steps for the BCAM. And we are ready for recording. By default, all input slots are synced to a group, which is indicated by this sync info label in the viewer controls. So when we now hit the record button in the toolbar, a group recording is being created. Reeltime Pro uses the timecode embedded in the SDI signal to sync group recordings. Hence, your camera's timecodes need to be gen-locked or jam-synced. If you can't do that, or if you just want to do some testing, you can open the recording settings and choose Current Time as Timecode instead of Original Timecode. Then, the signals will be synced based on the timestamp of the recorded frames. Here in the recording settings, you can also choose from different auto-record behaviors. For example, you can select if a group recording should be triggered for all slots simultaneously if one of the slots receives a record flag, or if the recordings in the group should be triggered based on the record flag of the individual cameras. As you can see, configuring input slots and setting up recording is pretty straightforward. And the good news is that configuring outputs works very similarly. Let's switch to the Slot Manager's Output tab. Output slots are the destinations to which we route our processed live and playback signals. When we open the video router window again, we can see that the routing is already set correctly. The SDI output port 3 of the IOX3 goes to the monitor 1, which is the director's monitor. And the output port 4 goes to the monitor 2, which is the monitor for the script supervisor. Let's choose more meaningful names for the output slots. For example, we can name the slots Director and Script, so that the names reflect the actual destinations. Now we must associate the output slots with the correct output device ports. We choose output port 3 for the output slot Director and output port 4 for the output slot Script. The output video format is set automatically based on the incoming signal on the input ports. AJA I/O devices only support one consistent video format at a time. Devices from Blackmagic and Deltacast can be set to individual video formats per port, which is usually not needed, but it's possible to mix video formats in Reeltime Pro. Okay, we have successfully configured 2 input slots and 2 output slots. Now we need to set the desired input for our 2 output slots and we're done. For example, we can set the ACAM as the source for the director and the BCAM as the source for the script supervisor. One more thing about the configuration of video I/O devices. You can configure specific device settings in the Devices Settings tab. For example, you can see all your connected AJA Video I/O devices in this table and configure each individual bidirectional device port if it should be used as an input or output port. By default, 2 of the 4 ports of the AJA IOX3 are set to be inputs and the other 2 are set to be outputs. You could also set all ports as inputs or outputs, or 3 as inputs, 1 as output, etc. So you're fully flexible to configure each port exactly how it works best for your setup requirements. Here's an example. Let's say we have the IOX3 and an IO4K+. You may want to use the IOX3 ports as inputs and the IO4K+ ports as outputs. No problem. Just change the port configuration to fit your needs. Be aware to restart the application so that changes take effect. Thankfully, restarting the application only takes a couple of seconds. When we open the slot manager and press the plus button in the Input tab, all the ports of the IOX3 will show up as available. And in the Output tab, we can associate each IO4K+ port with an output slot. You can do the same thing with multiple devices of the same model. For example, if you have 2 IOX3 devices. One last tip, you can even combine devices from different manufacturers. So let's say you are on a 2-camera shoot and have 2 SDI monitors, like in our example setup. Then, on one shooting day, there is a third camera that you didn't know of. Don't worry, you can configure the IOX3 to use 3 ports as inputs and 1 as output. Then, you just need to add another output device for the second SDI monitor. A quick and easy solution could be a Blackmagic Monitor 3G, which is very affordable. Now that we have our video signals up and running, let's look at setting up audio. Reeltime Pro can merge multiple audio input signals into one main audio input track, which you can record together with your video recordings. The main audio input track can be a mix down of multiple channels from different audio input sources. Here in the audio settings, you can see all audio devices that are connected to the machine. You can enable all channels of an audio input device or choose to include only individual channels. Also, you can mix multiple channels from multiple devices with relative volume sliders per channel. For example, I can add all channels from my audio interface and add one additional channel from the audio embedded in one of my cameras. You can add an audio delay here to bring audio and video in sync. With this setup, the most appropriate delay is about 40 milliseconds, for example. Reeltime Pro only supports audio in 48 kHz. So you cannot use the device as input if an audio device is configured to 44.1 kHz or another sample rate. However, you can configure most audio devices to 48 kHz here in the Audio MIDI Setup app. Similar to the main audio input, the application has one main audio output. The audio source for the main audio output is by default set to the selected input or library slot. However, you can also pin the audio source to one specific slot. For example, if the director and the crew should continue to hear the audio from slot A while you are preparing a shot for review in a library slot. The main audio is played out to the audio output device you select here in the audio settings. Now that our video and audio are set up, we can start working with Reeltime Pro. Apart from controlling the application conventionally with a mouse and keyboard, you can also benefit from a native Stream Deck integration, accelerating your work tremendously. You install the dedicated Reeltime Pro plugin via a menu item. For most Stream Deck devices, there are also pre-configured profiles so that you can start working immediately or create your own custom profile. Almost everything you can do with multiple clicks in the software or with menu items and keyboard shortcuts can be mapped to the LCD keys of your Stream Deck device. You can also create multi-actions. You can think of a multi-action as a mini-script that you can trigger with a Stream Deck button. That is perfect if you frequently need to perform multiple actions after another in the same order. For example, if the director often requests to review all actions within one clip. Then you can build a multi-action that sets the ranges playback to playback all ranges in a clip, then enable loop, and as a third step, trigger the playback. Here's another tip regarding Stream Deck. Besides the Stream Deck USB controllers, Elgato also offers a Stream Deck mobile app that allows you to trigger Stream Deck actions from an iPhone or iPad. You can simply transfer your preferred Stream Deck profile to your phone. Then, if you are not directly at the card, you can still control Reeltime Pro from anywhere on set as long as you are still connected to the same Wi-Fi network. Speaking of iPhones and iPads, Reeltime Pro's free companion app Reeltime Viewer allows you to receive local streams in very low latency. Compared to a direct feed from a camera to an SDI monitor, the delay of Reeltime Pro's local streaming is 1 frame only. Let's look at setting up the local streams in Reeltime Pro. You can configure a local stream via an output slot, so we need to add an additional output in the slot manager. Let's add 2 local streams, one for the A cam and one for the B cam. We set local stream under device. Next, we must configure the desired source for our new local stream output slots. And we are ready to provide the local streams to our crew. In the local streaming settings, you can open this QR code that links to the Reeltime Viewer companion app on the App Store. So you just need to show this QR code to your team members and they can install the app for free. Furthermore, you need to share this password in the local streaming settings with your team members so they get access to the streams. By the way, all the streams are secured with industry standard encryption. Once your crew is connected to the streams, you can see the number of connected clients and the stream's round-trip time statistics. If you see a peak, you can change the target bitrate or enhance the Wi-Fi quality with appropriate measures. Now let's check out the Reeltime Viewer companion app. Once you are connected to the streaming server, the video assist station running Reeltime Pro, you can connect to all the available streams. You can choose a layout of 1, 2, 3 or 4 streams and adjust the orientation from horizontal to vertical or vice versa. The orientation adjusts automatically based on the position of your device. You can display an options panel with meaningful metadata such as slate info and timecode. You can use the options panel as a temporary overlay or a docked metadata view. I hope by now you feel ready to create your first Reeltime Pro setup. For further information, check out our knowledge base and blog articles linked in the description below. In case you're new to Reeltime Pro, make sure to check out our 30-minute walkthrough. Learn more about the slot system and all essential features. Thanks for joining and see you soon.